live and online. It's Sleepless with Steve and the Movie Book Club with your host, Steve Pulaski.
Back and better than ever. It is great to be back, and it is great to be able to speak. Sleepless with Steve, live and in living color on this Wednesday evening. First time the gang has been all together in about 3 weeks, and we are back, and it's great to see you, gentlemen. Been watching a ton of the Bill Simmons podcast. He's a sports podcaster, predominantly NBA. And he's got a setup very similar to mine where it's just him like this, hunched over his desk. And watching that for the last 2 weeks or so and being under the weather, I just got so antsy to come back. So I am ready to go tonight. We're talking a really good, juicy movie tonight. We're talking a really shitty dissolution of a great streaming service. You got the two things that are going to get me out of bed every single time. So it's great to see you guys. Joe Viso, obviously, running the show. Dominic Guanzon in the blue polo. We are back, and feels really good to be back. It's not even, it doesn't even feel like spring yet, but we're already on the precipice of the technical summer season rather. And I think all three of us are already feeling the train moving full speed, in life and in general. So I appreciate the time you guys can make for the show as always. And I appreciate you holding it down a couple of weeks ago with Super Mario Brothers, because I watched the show that day. Very sickly me, I watched the show, and I was pissed because I wanted to chime in. But you guys went into OT by yourselves. I was pretty impressed.
Yeah, I was actually surprised by that too, because I thought we'll wrap this up. But I guess just, growing up with Mario, we just had a lot to say about the Mario movies, so I guess that makes sense.
I will add, too, that, I feel terrible. Number one, just the whole swirl of events. I didn't get a chance to go to your private screening of the Super Mario Brothers movie. And then I missed the show. But the good news is that I saw, as of today, the Super Mario Brothers movie has officially made $900 million worldwide. So I'll likely be able to make one of the private showings you have for the next 8 sequels. So that and I should be able to be healthy enough to do one of the shows for one of the sequels.
My friends and I, it won't be me this time. I think it's going to be an all group effort, but we're actually talking about doing Barbie. And I said, if you guys want to do it, I will chip in for Barbie, just to avoid the potential little kids that run throughout a theater, because I saw 2 movies this weekend, both rated R. Both had children at them. One was at 2 o'clock on a Sunday evening, or afternoon, I should say. The other one was last night at a 6 o'clock show. And I look at both these movies, I'm like, how the hell do you bring kids to either of these movies? What the hell makes them want to watch this?
Oh, don't tell me there were kids at Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah.
Wow.
The parents had to be in their 40s, right?
It's something like that, yeah. Okay, to give context, I saw Evil Dead Sunday, and the kid was about 7 or 8, and he started crying at one point, and they took him out of the theater, and he came back in, and he was fine for the rest of the movie. But there was one point, because Evil Dead's really gruesome, and Evil Dead doesn't give a damn what age you are. It will kill any kid on sight in this movie.
Oh, and it did.
And I guess it freaked him the hell out, and that he needed to kind of leave the theater for a moment. And then I saw Air. And I was thinking to myself, all right, it's a Tuesday night, discount Tuesday, sure. I got to that parking lot, and I saw hundreds of kids going, they're going to go see the Mario movie. And I'm walking down the hallway to my theater to go see Air. I'm like, all right, these people are going to see Mario. All of them go, except for this group of 5 children and 1 mom. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And they come in the same screening as me. They were quiet and everything, but one of them, he was quiet. But he kept going to the bathroom, and every time he would go to the bathroom, he ran into my chair. I don't know how. He always did.
The only thing that would have been better is if he had those light up shoes. That'd have been the only thing that would be better. Man, unbelievable. I'm still shocked that a kid went to Evil Dead Rise. Now, I was 10 when my uncle took me to Black Christmas, and that movie's gruesome. The first remake of Black Christmas is very gruesome. I've talked about it on the show before. Yeah. But Evil Dead Rise is a whole other thing. We'll talk about that. Dom, did you see it yet?
Not yet. I'm going to watch it this week.
Oh God, I was telling Catherine because we saw it together. I was telling her, I said, "Oh, we are gonna comatose Dom with this movie."
Is it scary?
It's just gory, man. It's just gory and
I can do
disturbing.
gore. I can do gore.
I
Oh,
I can
you
do
better
gore
be
and
able to
body
do
horror.
gory.
in,
Damn it!
in
Like,
terms
there's some
of
shit with a cheese grater in this one.
in terms of scares, like I don't mean to jump in, but this has been Evil Dead in general. Like Evil
I,
Dead to me has never been scary. It's just been disturbing. Like the idea of like someone being possessed by a demon. It's the same thing as The Exorcist. Like, they're gonna say stuff to you as a family member, friend, to make you hate them and want to kill them. But like that's someone you love deep down. And Evil Dead Rise, out of all the Evil Dead movies, is the one I think to do it the best in terms of like, hey, that is someone you actually care about in there.
This is the most sullen of the Evil Dead movies in terms of like the
I'm actually going to see it again. I liked it that
the
much.
the darkness of it. This is like most of the installments. Even the remake, even the Fede Alvarez, or not remake, even the Fede Alvarez movie from 2013 had a little comedy. There's not much humor in this one.
No.
This one is very black, and that's about it. That's about all I'll say about it. We'll talk about it next week. But yeah, that's going to lead to an interesting discussion. Yeah, but I remember I told Catherine, I said we are going to totally Dom is going to Chelsea's going to kill us because he's going to sleep with the lights on for the next like month. I'm
we'll
like,
see.
I can't wait to discuss it with you guys. I really can't. I wanted to just give us an extra. We could have done it this weekend, or this week, but I wanted to talk Air. I really wanted to do this movie. I don't know if you guys have anything else to add for the intro. I know we haven't been together in a while though, but what the hell? How's life, Tom?
Good. It's good, but it's going to be busy, and I'm going to be losing a lot of sleep. That's okay. It's the life we chose, and started up a music blog. Restarted my music blog.
I love it. I love it. I just want to say that.
Thank you very much. I don't know if you
plug it.
Yeah. But I started it in college, pretty much just on the ground, boots on the ground, jazz writing. I don't even know. But I just go to jazz clubs and then I write what I see. But taking some pictures as well. So I dedicated it myself to it by buying a new lens, and then 50 millimeter f1.8. I don't know exactly what those numbers mean, but I got it because it's good in low light. But and then started just writing up again, and it's weird because it's not weird, but it's actually good, but also just kind of surprising just how, because the jazz community in Chicago is kind of close and tight knit. So when you see one group of faces, you're going to see those faces circulate very soon if you keep in this orbit. Of like, 6 jazz clubs that are like full-time jazz clubs, and then like another 10 that are like halftime jazz throughout the Chicagoland area.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, you're gonna see these people play on other people's stuff, and it's a very tight-knit web. So the rate at which I'm running into these names is actually pretty fast. But that's cool. I think that's really cool. And it's a very nice ecosystem, and I'm excited to. I can't wait for the writing to kick my ass, because writing is hard. Talking about movies is one skill. Writing about music is another. As one of my teachers used to tell me, which I think it's a quote just passed around from wherever, is that writing about music is like dancing about architecture. How? And that's so true.
14 years of writing movie reviews, and for a period of time I did album reviews, and album reviews are very, very hard.
They are.
TV
and it's like,
shows
you're going to do every
too.
song. It's like, you use the same words here. You do this and that. I don't know.
And for more general audiences, there's like Stephen Thomas or Wine of All Music and stuff. But like, you want to get into the nitty gritty and obviously the atmosphere. If you want to, do you want to give the name of your blog? Do you want to plug that?
Oh yeah, it's Blue Collar Jazz dot WordPress, because I didn't pay for it. Dot com. It's better to find it on Instagram, at BCJ Chicago, because there was already a Blue Collar Jazz, and they are an Australian wedding band, and they're pretty good. But BCJ Chicago. You can find it there, and then the link tree. I had to make a link tree for the first time. That was cool. Never done that before.
That's a fun little site. That's a fun little tool, isn't it?
Oh, it's extremely helpful. Yeah.
Congrats on that, though, man. I commented on one of your photos. I think it might have been Chelsea's. I commented. I called you Chicago's Robert Christgau, and that is.
I actually did see that.
Yeah,
I did see that. That was very nice of you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I love.
We'll see if I live up. But
I've been reading Christgau for years. I love that guy. Joe, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. I'll keep it short. We have a wedding this week. People are coming to the house right now. That's why I had to step out for a second. My dog was barking like crazy. I wanted to make sure he was okay. Somebody just showed up, so after this show, I have to go talk with them and be nice and all that stuff. So, yay!
I love it. I love it. It's great to be back. I'm gonna say that probably 4 more times during this show, but I'm feeling good, and it's a great reunion after 2 weeks. I think the longest time we've been off since I had to move here, but. We'll move forward. We got to talk Air. We got to talk a movie that's been out now for almost a month. I don't know when it's coming to Amazon, but it's probably coming to Amazon, I would say, fairly soon. I think its theatrical run is all but concluded, especially with a number of new releases coming out this week. But well worth seeing right off the bat, I want to say that. This is a very, very good adult drama too. A little confusing at first because again it is an Amazon production, but like the movie Last Night with Mindy Kaling from a few years ago, this was one of the few Amazon movies that did not come to streaming. This thing really went for the full theatrical window, which I thought was cool, which I'm glad they did that. It's directed by Ben Affleck, and this is Ben Affleck's now, what is this, his fourth?
No, fifth. Sorry, fifth.
Fourth.
It's
good. It is fit. Good. Gone Baby Gone, The Town, Argo, Live by Night. Yep. Live by Night. I always forget Live by Night.
That's the movie I forgot about too. I was like, man, he's been on a hot streak.
Geely.
Like, oh wait.
Geely. It's pronounced Geely.
Oh, I don't even know.
And that was Martin Brest, whose career was killed, and he's seldom been seen since. But Air, though, Ben Affleck's rock star new sports drama, kind of biographical drama, basically about how Nike was the underdog in signing Michael Jordan to what became a transformative and oh so lucrative shoe deal. Question for any of you, we are not the crowd for this, and I'm assuming it's going to be resounding no's. Does anybody own a pair of Jordans?
No.
Have ever?
No, I only own Dunks and like their athletic running shoes. I've always wanted a pair of Jordans though. I just never got one. I've always liked the style of Dunks more.
Back when I played basketball, it was.
Yeah, you played basketball?
Yeah, no, we were on the circuit for a while. In 6th grade, we played for St. Mary of Goston because my uncle Dennis was the coach. 6th through 8th grade, that was my 3-year career. Yes, I did wear Nike sneakers, gym shoes.
Point God Guanzon right there.
Thank you. No, I was the big guy. I was the person in the back. I was number 5.
You were the center.
The big guy in the back. Yes, I think that was the term. We used numbers because I couldn't remember I couldn't tell what a point guard and a forward was. And then the quarterback.
You were the Shaq. That had to be a small team.
My shining moment was when a really short kid was going to take a shot, and then I just effing blocked it, just bitch slapped that that ball, and it was the block heard around the world. So my friends told me. So that was
beautiful.
My career highlight.
Yeah, I've never owned a pair of Jordans. You know, they're cool shoes. I'm not a shoe guy though. I'm not a shoe guy in general, but obviously you can't really quantify. I guess you can if you really dug through the ledger, but you can't really quantify how successful Jordan was on and off the field. Like one of the testaments to the greats, and it's interesting too. I just want to make this comment because we're all from Illinois and stuff. So Michael Jordan's our god. He will always be our GOAT. But Michael Jordan, though, the thing that, like, as I get older, that I realize, like with Michael Jordan, is that, you know, with the greats, and there are very few in the pantheon of greats, the Tom Brady's, the LeBron James, the Michael Jordans, even the Tiger Woods. I know he had that scandal in the late aughts, early 2010s. But I'm going to say this though, like one of the things about the all-time greats, like let's just take those 4. They make very smart decisions on the field and on the court when it comes to playing, and they understand the game at a cerebral level, but they often make incredibly smart business decisions.
Yeah.
They have a great circle around them. LeBron right now is the first billionaire basketball player. Now he's got his Spring Hill company. Going to Los Angeles to play for the Lakers was also in part of him becoming like this mogul and this producer even as well. Brady's second act is going to be one to really watch and see where it takes him. I feel like we were robbed of Kobe's second act incredibly as well. But Michael Jordan, was courted, highly courted athlete, obviously, when it was time for the draft. But as is the case now, it's standard. Now every marquee basketball player, your Ja Morants, your Zion Williamsons, they all get shoe deals. Yeah. But that's how you know you really made it as a player. Kawhi's got shoes. I think Tim Duncan. They all had shoes. Jordan's Air Jordan shoe though was revolutionary, and the movie Air chronicles it. I'm going to give you your starting five right here. You got Matt Damon, you got Ben Affleck, you got Jason Bateman, Chris Messina, who I think is going to be the kind of the unsung piece of this. We'll talk about him later, and Chris Tucker. It's just a full court press of talent for a movie that predominantly takes place in office buildings and is really about the back end gritty of trying to get a player under contract for a shoe deal with Nike. And then you also have Viola Davis, Marlon Wayans in a quick performance. There's so much to chew on with this movie. I said in my review at stevepulaski.com that it's very similar to how Moneyball 12 years ago made baseball analytics really compelling drama. It's the same case here where some of the conventions of a sports movie come into play with this, even though it's really a talky drama. And the end result is just a wickedly entertaining movie, almost against all odds how good it is and how it really engrosses you in the story. I'm going to go Dom, then Joe. So Dom, your general thoughts on Air.
Yes, there's no players in the penalty box on this diamond. This is a all-star cast. All right. Yeah, no. This movie I was actually kind of tepidly looking forward to it because Steve had been hyping it up. But I wasn't quite sure what to expect. This is going to be like I was actually thinking Moneyball as well. And even though the style was a little bit different because the Sorkin writing is just Sorkin writing, no matter what you do, even though that's one of the lesser Sorkin projects. But still, I was looking forward to it because this is actually a kind of sports story, and this is a sports film that I am interested in because like behind the scenes of sports, like I remember the Titans is it's good, it's solid, whatever, but stuff like that. I'm not so much into, Rudy or whatever. I respect them for what they are, but I'm not really into that stuff behind the scenes of what makes the sports world, really go is, or like, how it helps it turn, like 80 for Brady, just kidding. But like that stuff really, really gets me going. And I was excited for this, except for one thing holding me back, making me very, 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 hesitant. And that was the Michael Jordan angles. Like, how are they going to play this? Because the whole film is based on the conceit that it's like, hey, I think Michael Jordan's going to be a big deal. And everyone's like, you're an idiot. You're stupid. And is this going to be just 95 minutes of that?
How do you not take Sam Bowie?
Yeah, man. And thankfully, like there had to be that period because that is the actual foundation of this whole story in real life. But thankfully they didn't lean into it too hard. And yes, an incredible all-star cast with really good writing. I've never heard of the name Alex Convery, not that I know screenwriters that well off the top of my head, but I very much enjoyed this. And like performances here that
wrote, by the way.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I was surprised by that too.
I didn't look him up. I thought, wow, that's a name you got to put on the shelf, man. Holy crap. Yeah, man.
Yeah, he's going to be in high demand.
Yeah, for sure. Because this is an awesome, awesome debut. I love it. So Even more so now that I know that. But yeah, like I I I don't think of Matt Damon as like he is a damn good actor, but I don't think of him first and foremost as that. I think of the name first more than anything. This is one of the better Damon performances that I've personally witnessed because he's like one of those actors that you don't think about too often. He's in everything, don't get me wrong, but if you don't think about him as up there with the Day Lewis's or the Viola Davises, right? But here he is putting on such an understated performance, but and in that style of like sports coach, of aged veteran sports coach, even though he's not in this film. And then like the most act like this is I do contend this is a sports movie, but the most active thing here that's not a diegetic, TV screen. The most active thing here is just Matt Damon like fatly going about his business in a semi saunter for like 2 hours. The amount of walking shots, including the Sorkin, walk and talk, um, like is insane on this film, and it's very deliberate, and I love it. Yeah, dude, this is probably my favorite sports film of like the past 10 years, and I'll just start off with that.
Wow.
I'm not joking. I'm not
take
joking.
Blank.
Ooh,
I'll
okay.
take blank. Good stuff. Joe, what are your thoughts since we were segging from Matt Damon? What are your thoughts on We Bought a Shoe?
Dude, that's a great title for this movie.
we bought a shoe.
Yeah, man. So
you had to put that in your review.
I know I had to.
I almost said We Bought a Shoe is a good movie. So when like thinking about this movie and everything, like as soon as it ended, I had this energy to me, man. I had this energy of like,
yeah,
damn, like that was awesome watching an underdog come and save the day and everything. And it's weird to think about that with a corporation like Nike. Like it's weird to like look back and think like, yeah, Nike at one point was about to probably go bankrupt with at least a division of their basketball team. And then who knows what would have happened after that without this deal. So it's really cool the writer of this movie and Ben Affleck, who I will say this, if you haven't watched his South by Southwest post interview when they screened the movie there, watch it. It's like there are 2 companion pieces to this movie. That interview with him on stage, and I think The Last Dance. Because when I got home from last night, that energy and everything, I was like, I want to relive that history even more. And I went on Netflix and I watched The Last Dance. And I was like, I need to just be in this moment again. Like,
that was the first thing that got us through COVID.
Yeah, there was that, yeah. But just going back and watching that again and just realizing like the impact that Jordan, Nike, this era of, late 80s, early 90s basketball had on the world, man. Just like, the influence. It's so cool to just see another side of it, like Dom is saying, from behind the scenes with Nike. Because we saw it with The Last Dance, and that to me is your behind the scenes of what was going on with the Bulls throughout that big run of, 6 championship wins and everything. The 2 3-peats they got. I mean, it's incredible. What's the best way to do that? A documentary, because like Dom said, who the hell is going to play Jordan? No one's going to play Jordan until that dude's probably dead, because the person that's going to play Michael Jordan in a movie will probably be Michael Jordan. He'll only do it himself. So it's really cool that we got this aspect from Nike, and it's even better that we had such talent behind this movie, in front of the camera and behind the camera. I love Ben Affleck as a director, and I was heartbroken when Live by Night was such a disappointment. I mean, it wasn't even a disappointment. I consider it to be probably one of the worst films that year. I thought it was just poorly executed on all fronts in terms of
it made one a lot. I mean, it's easily one of his most forgotten, and it's only about 6 years old.
Yeah.
It definitely made me appreciate Gangster Squad a lot more. If you remember
true.
the Ryan Gosling movie, it made me appreciate Gangster Squad a hell of a lot more.
And it's like I don't want to talk about my voice just cracked there. I don't want to talk about bad about Ben because again, like the guy has come across as like look, I went to become Daredevil and it didn't work out, and then I had my rise back up with Argo and The Town and Gone Baby Gone and Gone Girl, and then I became Batman and I directed Live by Night. But then I had The Last Duel and now Air, and it's like, the man has a roller coaster. I mean, look, at the end of the day, though, I'll give him this. You have Ana de Armas, you had Ana de Armas in your life, and you had Jennifer Lopez. So, you know what? There could be worse things. Anyways, but I love his style of directing. I've always loved it. I always thought, like, it was BS he didn't get Best Director for Argo that year. Because to me, I thought everything he's been doing with his past two films, and Gone Baby Gone, and The Town, he brought it in Argo. He brought that, he knows how to make, it's almost like, it reminds me of that era of like, what's the best way of putting this? Like kind of when Spielberg made, I'm not comparing him to Spielberg, let me just make that clear. But his film, Catch Me If You Can, where it's like a very crowd-pleasing drama, that star-studded cast, and I think Ben Affleck is a director that can handle dramas like that, from something like The Town where it's totally fictional, or a dramatized like retelling of the story like Argo and Air. Like, to me, I just love that style of directing. It's something that I've always loved that he did with all of his movies so far, except Live by Night. And he just brings it here, like, on all fronts, man. You could tell, like, I mean, in his interview, he talks about how, like, this is his love letter to the shoe itself, that he grew up wearing it and everything. The game of basketball, even though as a Celtics fan, he hella respects Michael Jordan. And he just loves the game of basketball. This is just like a love letter to basketball from him to the game itself, in terms of everything, the style of the shoe, just the impact that Jordan had to the league overall. And not only that, man, it brought something new to my mind that I never even knew about, which was Michael Jordan's mom and how much she changed the game, literally the game, for young athletes. And I thought, like, holy shit, now, like, you found another story within this story that you can, like, share equal amount of time with, like, promoting, like, yeah, like, this woman really changed all that because, like, of how much she was like, nope, my son is getting this portion of the shoe deal and everything. It's just such an entertaining. I have very few critiques of this movie. I'm kind of up there with Dom. This is probably one of my favorite sports movies, and sports movies like kind of based on like a true story and everything. Because Creed 3 is like another movie I love this year, but I count that as like a whole different type of sports movie. Even though they're both relatively sports films,
biographical sports movies. You're saying,
yeah. This is one of my favorite ones in a long time, man. I had such a blast with this movie. It literally was like taking Moneyball, which I also love, and Mad Men, throw them in a blender, and you get this movie.
Good comp. Yeah, I wanted to say, with going back to Argo, fun fact about Argo, it was like, I love that movie. I haven't watched it since it came out, but I'm pretty sure my opinion wouldn't veer too dramatically different. But I remember when Argo won Best Picture. Argo was the first Best Picture winner since, I think, Driving Miss Daisy, that won Best Picture, but the director wasn't nominated for Best Director. And then it happened again with Peter Farrelly with Green Book a few years later. It happened again. He didn't have a Best Director nomination, but he won Best Picture. And Argo always pissed me off, though, or the Academy pissed me off with how they handled Argo. Because if you remember, Affleck did not get an acting nomination either. Nope. He didn't get an acting nor a directing nomination. And I'm like, the only performance that was nominated in that whole movie was Alan Arkin, and Alan Arkin had no shot to win that category that year. I forget who won it, but it was the chalk. Alan Arkin wasn't going to win. So I remember thinking, like, Argo's the betting favorite to win Best Picture. It didn't. Affleck's not nominated for anything. Then what the fuck makes it Best Picture worthy in the Academy?
It's better than the sum of its parts, right? Because I do.
Sorry.
I do remember really liking that movie, feeling damn real good as John Goodman and Alan Arkin come out of there going, Argo, fuck yourself. And it was a feel good movie.
And I was leading into my point, though, about, like, any filmmaker that wants to direct a story or wants to direct a movie about a well-known, time-tested story should reach out to Ben Affleck for tips, because
Yep.
he's now done it twice. He's now made 2 movies, 2 very good, humanistic, compelling dramas where we know the end result. We know what happens. And to Dom's point too, yeah, my biggest concern with Air was that it was going to be too knowing, was that it was going to be a little bit too like joke, like the whole like, oh, you got to take Sam Bowie, like the knee jerk opinion of the moment. And there's a little bit of that there that kind of there's a little bit there that kind of bugged me, like the one executive like questioning where Gonzaga is, and stuff like there's just some certain
they get it out of the way in like the first like couple of scenes.
Yeah,
they do. But by the midsection of the movie, I wasn't too preoccupied or hung up on it.
That was one of the critiques I had, which is like, to me, the first 10-15 minutes of this movie, it's like, okay, I see what everybody's saying. Like, I'm enjoying this, but it's like, I thought the writing could be a bit better. Once you actually get to the point where it's like they're chasing down Jordan is where this movie really takes off. Like, they're like, yeah, we're going after him, and we need like a way around. Like, we need to find out how we can get in contact with him, get around his agent, all this stuff, and just how much risk Nike took to an extent. I mean, I know a lot of this was probably dramatized, and Ben Affleck was honest about it at the South by Southwest panel. But it's just like, dude. It's once you get to that moment in the film, it just takes off, man. I literally was just like, I knew what the end result was going to be. I've seen The Last Dance. I knew he gets the shoe. They pay the fine every game.
You were alive, before
you knew the
turn
ending.
of the millennium.
You knew the ending. You've been in a fucking shoe store before.
But it doesn't take away from like some of the best scenes in this. I mean, one of my favorite scenes in this movie, and it was at that moment I went, holy shit, this might be one of my favorite movies this year. There's a moment where Matt Damon and Jason Bateman's character have to stay at Nike headquarters over the weekend to get the shoe done and get the whole meeting ready for Jordan. And they go down to the cafeteria at the Nike headquarters and everything, and they're just having like a little break. And Bateman talks to Matt Damon on like why working here in this division for this shoe line is important to him, and for like what it means to the company as a whole. And it comes back later in the film, and Damon steps out of his office when it seems like all hope is lost, and he's looking at everybody here and everything. And, like, he's always talking about, the old Nike, and he's not realizing, like, new Nike is also something to be proud of and everything. I was like, damn, like, this is such a damn good scene. There's some great, like, they introduce something early on, a great cameo with Marlon Wayans that introduces something that comes into a key point later on in the film in terms of involving the I Have a Dream speech. Like, I was just like, damn, man, like, this writer, for being his first script, it's damn good. Like, there's some really good writing to it. It's like, you got something on your hands here, man. And if him and Ben Affleck want to team up again for another sports drama, I'm down for that.
100%. If there are 2 performances here, only 2 that we can talk about, then it's got to be Viola Davis, who we will get to probably after the break.
Yep.
And Steve, you said Chris Messina as Jordan's agent. That was like reaching like Les Grossman from
Tropic Thunder,
Tropic Thunder, like levels which is a good thing, because that was like the way it happened in Tropic Thunder will never be repeated, because that was so out of left field for Tom Cruise specifically, and it had that meta thing of it being Tom Cruise. But yeah, man, Chris Messina is just firing full throttle here, and it is so every scene that he's in just exudes the 80s smarminess. It's like that one character from Futurama who was like frozen out of the 80s, and then he takes over the company for a hot minute. And it is so damn good that I'm surprised he hasn't been in any other bigger movies. I think apparently, Steve, you've probably seen more of him. You said Mindy Project. Apparently he was in Argo. Maybe it was on a lesser role. But
I feel like this was kind of his coming out party, like this performance. I think
he's a working actor. Clearly, been for like the past couple decades.
Kind of reminds me of Bobby Cannavale a bit.
Yeah,
a little bit. Yeah, no, he's got a little bit of that energy where it's like the face. He's not really that guy actor. I think he's a little bit a tier above, but he is very good. And you know what? By all accounts, that's how David Falk, his agent, was. Like David Falk, retired sports agent.
I believe it. It had to be
legend
true.
In the business. He was on Colin Cowherd's show actually a couple of years ago, and I went back and watched the interview because I remember having it on TV when he was on. And Falk, you can tell Like even, and he's been retired for years, and he's getting interviewed with Colin Cowherd, and the way he just responds to questions, the way he says, we did what we thought was best at the time. We stayed firm. We held our ground. We did what we needed to do. That's the bottom line. Like, he's still got that agent in him. He's still got that, I swear to God, if there ever comes a point where I become a significant enough radio DJ or a writer that I'm going to hire an agent, I want a fucking agent like David Falk. I want to I'll show them air and be like, give me this this guy in the negotiating room.
I want
right
my
now.
guy to eat balls of someone that
that man, if I'm at the point where I need an agent and I'm signing like 6-figure deals, that dude is worth 1 or 2% of my contract. Like, that dude is worth that money, man. Yeah, Messina's awesome. Messina's so good in this. I want to save Viola Davis for after the break. Real quick question. I don't want to bleed into the break, but we might. But I just want to ask this question because I don't know when I'm going to be able to invite it again. But what did we think, real quickly, what did we think about the movie's treatment of Michael Jordan, the person, rendering him a silhouetted figure? Joe, and then Dom.
I think it's the best way to do it because, again, I made that point earlier. Who the hell is going to play Jordan? Who's going to make it believable in today's age, man? He's still an icon that people look up to around the world and everything. He's still talked about today because we have the whole LeBron versus Jordan argument and everything. It's luckily LeBron can act better than he can in movies. That's why LeBron James is probably gonna be able to play LeBron James in some biopic or something. I don't know. I don't think anybody. I mean, do I think it's cheesy? Do I think it reminds me of Austin Powers, where they're keeping his dick out of frame and everything? Sure, but I think in terms of addressing it, handling it, dude, it was the best way to do it. And they handle it pretty good for the most part. There's one scene where it's just they ask him a question and he's purposely ignoring him. But it more felt he's ignoring him because they don't want to show the actor nor hear the actor really. He only says one line, which is Bulls colors, and that's it.
In terms of off the court charisma, an off camera, back to the camera silhouette is about as accurate as you can for Michael Jordan, especially if you compare him to someone on that level like Muhammad Ali, who was the complete opposite off the court or out of the ring. But yeah, pretty much exactly what Joe said. That I actually think that's the best thing that they could have done, as you were saying, Joe. And it's a little hokey, but I think that's right in line with the tone of this movie. Particularly the high points, the funnier parts, that works perfectly fine.
Good stuff. Yeah, I agree. It reminded me, not that I have to go too far back for this memory. We didn't talk about it on the show, and I went in with kind of middling expectations for this movie, but I came out genuinely impressed. It's very comparable to the way She Said treated Harvey Weinstein. Now, 2 totally different figures and 2 totally different pillars of life.
I didn't see She Said, which I should have. Sorry.
Very comparable.
The assistant, no, similar story, but it was made up
during the pandemic. I know which one you're talking about.
The secretary.
Yeah.
It was the assistant. It was the assistant.
It was the
assistant. Kitty Green movie. Because it's the same thing. It's what's the best way to address the elephant in the room? We'll put him on the periphery. And talk about the fallout. And I like that approach, and I think it's done really well here. We'll be back to talk Viola Davis and more about Air, and we also got to dive in and criticize Max, too, which I cannot wait for. Great to be back on a Wednesday night. Be back in about 60 to 90 seconds. This is Sleepless with Steve. Back after a Zoom-sponsored intermission. This is Sleepless with Steve, live on YouTube. My cats are almost not used to me doing this in 2 weeks. Siskel's staring at me like this is the time of the day this is the day of the week where the human talks to himself on the computer. But at any rate, Sleepless with Steve, live on YouTube. We're talking Air, the Ben Affleck movie, which is kind of rounding out its play in theaters. It's probably going to hit Amazon, I would think, sometime next month. Next month's already May. Holy shit. But anyway, we got to talk Viola Davis here because Viola Davis comes off the bench to give another knockout performance. Did you guys know that that was one of Michael Jordan's really only demands for this movie?
Yeah.
Because Ben Affleck, I mean, this kind of goes back a little bit. I wanted to mention this sooner. There's so much to talk about with this. But I think one of the reasons this movie is so damn good is because it's authentic and it's accurate for the most part. Because most of the people that were directly involved with this are still alive. They're still alive. The only person I think of the main cast who is dead, besides Michael Jordan's dad, that's well documented, is oh no, George Raveling is still alive. My mistake. I thought George Raveling with Marlon Wayans plays. I thought George Raveling was dead.
He's still alive. The shoe designer, the guy that actually designed the shoe and then eventually put the the Air Jordan of him flying through the air. He passed away. I think 2 months is what they say at the end of the movie when it started production or was released.
Yeah, I thought Raveling passed the Villanova coach, but he didn't. But yeah. So most of the people directly involved with this are still alive, and Affleck talked to all of them to get the lowdown of the story and get a streamlined thing. Now, Michael Jordan, who again, I feel like if you're out of Michael Jordan's circle, he's pretty aloof. I feel like that's just the impression he gives. His Charlotte Hornets has never done very well either, so I don't think he's too happy about that. But moreover, though, one of his only demands was Viola Davis play Dolores Jordan, his mother. And oh my God, is she great. I mean, it's gotten redundant to the point now to say Viola Davis is great and everything. Or it's really getting redundant. But one thing that's not getting redundant is watching her. That woman is one of the single best actors, male or female, working today. I rest my case. She is incredible. She has the bravado and the talent in and of herself. Not that she's done it very often or she's had to. She's chosen pretty great projects over the years. But she can elevate a substandard movie. But more often than not, she's elevating what is already, something that's already got a lot of quality. We talked about her at length with Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I'm a huge fan of Fences and Widows. I think Fences is probably my singular favorite performance from her. Which got her the Oscar as well. She is so good here, and she is the emotional crux of this thing. She's the one, when she finally gets introduced, it brings you around as an audience member and a viewer to remember, oh yeah, this is about an actual human being.
Yeah.
That's what's beautiful about her performance.
It's almost...
And the high point... go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
I was going to say, her introduction to the film almost feels like Michael Jordan in the movie. It's just oh shit, well, here we go. This is the woman that, was making decisions for Michael that, it was kind of well known that, she helped guide him and everything when it came to his career and whatnot. And yeah, man, Davis is just so damn good in this movie, man. The moment that, she knows what she's doing. It's like Ben Affleck knew, to pick these actors and just let them play into their strengths throughout this whole movie. Just yeah, you do this and you'll be fine. And
not a lot of coaching with these. Not a lot of coaching with these people.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah, it's a far cry from her Help days. But what honestly, she's been on the record saying, yeah, screw what I did in that movie because that's, but what Alex Convery wrote for her to do in this film really was with the placement of her character and the pacing of where it happens. Her big moment happens is nothing short of genius, or just an emotional move there, because and honestly what she does, I almost kind of don't want to spoil it, but it's not really a spoiler because it's literal history. But yeah, her role in and I don't even know how much it's truly dramatized, if it really was just a single phone call, but it seems like, yeah, from what I'm seeing, Jordan's mother really did pave the way to completely transform the way things were done, which is a phrase they they repeat multiple times in that conversation alone. It's like, that's not how it's done. I'm sorry, that's just not how it's done. And to lead that change right after what, like in the same phone call where this is supposed to be the victory moment, this is supposed to be the winning shot.
Yeah,
she pulls it back and was like, hold on, just one moment. Hold on. Before the timer, runs out here.
She
you can
literally called timeout.
Yeah, no, legit timeout before the winning shot was made, and it's like the other team has no chance. You're gonna win, but I'm gonna call timeout on this anyway. Is awesome, and it's the abuse that athletes in America, put them the physical abuse they put themselves through. All of them, all athletes, is nothing short of like kind of horrendous in my opinion. But and when you put in like the socioeconomic aspects, if you really zoom the hell out, and it's like, yeah, it's kind of funny how it's like a lot of people of color, their only real way out of these situations is to be athletes. Going back also to that South Park episode where
student athletes.
student athletes, where it's like, yeah, they're kind of like economic slaves, is really just an American phenomenon, for our money, for entertainment, big business, to say nothing short of the NCAA thing, which is kind of addressed at the very, very, very end credits of this movie with the story of Matt Damon's character.
Sonny Vaccaro was a chief leader in, which is so serendipitous and so perfect.
I'm even just starting to read about it, and it's like, holy shit, this guy really did come full circle.
Who advocated for NIL deals, name, image.
There's an Atlantic article I need to finish reading where it's like, yeah, he gets name dropped a couple times, where it's like, yeah, dude, this is just the same thing. This is kind of what Jordan's mom taught me, for real.
Because this all goes back to one of the stipulations of the Nike Jordan deal, was that Jordan would make a percentage of every shoe sold, which was unheard of at the time, but it's his likeness. And I mean, and it's crazy to think too that like for all of this for a player who hadn't even taken a step on an NBA court at the time, like it was, he was coming from North Carolina, highly decorated. This was also back in the era, and this is why college basketball, I feel like outside of March, is pretty irrelevant. This also came from an era where players played at a college program, basketball players, for 4 years, for 3 or 4 years. So you got to follow that player throughout his college career. Yeah. But, college football still does that. Most players get about 2 to 3 years, and if they're good, they go pro after their junior year. But basketball, the one and done culture, you just need 1 year of college eligibility, and then these kids go into the NBA at like 19 years old, and that's why there's so many busts in the NBA. That's a whole other conversation. But like, like Jordan had an identity though, even being drafted, because everybody saw him play at North Carolina for 3+ years. They saw him grow and develop. We need to move into closing arguments here. There's still more meat on the bone that we could talk about. I just want to say, since I kind of half-heartedly teased it in the green room, I will say this though. The soundtrack is good. The soundtrack is very good. I mean, here's the thing. I'm not going to bitch too hard about hearing Bruce Springsteen, Shaka Khan, and the Dazz Band. Okay. And Cyndi Lauper, Dire Straits. There's a lot of good songs in this. But it kind of feels like a little bit too damn much.
Oh my god, bro!
There's too many fucking needle drops in this movie. Like it's kind of like the same problem. They go hand in hand. It's like this movie sometimes gets a little bit too obsessed with like knowing the future and knowing that the audience knows what happened at the end of it, and then it gets too obsessed with like incorporating every single top 40 song that was on the charts during the year of 1980. What was it, 84? There feels like there's too much. And as great, here's the thing, as great as Born in the USA is, I love that song and I love how people misinterpret it. Born in the USA to me doesn't really fit this story.
No,
it doesn't fit this story. They even
bring it up in the movie, and it's like, yeah, then why are you using the song?
Like, Dancing in the Dark. I'm a big Springsteen fan. I got a fucking coffee table Springsteen book on my table over here. You can't see. I'm a huge Springsteen fan. Dancing in the Dark would have been more applicable. If you wanted to go mainstream Springfield, Dancing in the Dark would have been more applicable.
Yeah.
I don't think this film even has like an original score. Does it?
Probably not.
Because
I don't think
in
it does.
IMDb, there's you have a music editor, a music supervisor, and a music coordinator, but no
there's no
original
composer.
score.
There's no I just noticed that myself. Yeah, there's no composer for this movie.
It's usually on Wikipedia, but I had to dig deeper because it wasn't on Wikipedia because there is none. Which is, I mean, it's a choice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I pretty much agree.
The
That's probably my
uncredited composer was a
department.
non-union staff boy who had to comb through Spotify playlists. That's who the fucking composer was.
And he
that's
made that
pretty
on
good.
Spotify for people to listen to.
You know, like he had to archive 80 songs, and he's like, "Ooh, Dad's band, Let It Whip's pretty good." But yeah, that's like, and they're very menial complaints for me because there's so much this movie does well. I gave it 3 stars in my written review. I almost want to bump it up to 3.5, but I will stick with journalistic integrity here and still stick to 3 stars. It's kind of one of those movies. I gave it a 4 on Letterboxd, and sometimes for really good 3-star movies, I give them a 4 on Letterboxd. You know what I mean? But
I get what you mean.
This is a uniformly solid picture. Top to bottom, one of the more entertaining movies of the year so far in a year that's already been pretty damn impressive with movies. I think, truthfully, hot take plank over here, I think this might be the first legit Oscar contender of the year.
See it.
I think there's an argument for Damon. There's an argument for Viola Davis. There's an argument for writing, and there's an argument for picture.
Yeah.
There's 10 Best Picture nominees every year. There's got to be some movies that get them. I don't be surprised if Air is one of them this year. That's all I'm going to say. That's my very early Oscars prediction. 3 out of 4 stars for me. We'll go Joe, then Dom to send us home on this.
Yeah, man. I'm echoing what Steve said. I mean, my only complaints, is the needle drops and just the whole, like, you think Jordan's going to be somebody? No, man, I don't think he's going to be somebody. And at the end of the movie, Matt Damon meets up with that same character. He's just like, yeah, I knew he was going to be somebody. I always knew. And it's just like, okay, yeah, I get it. But, yeah, man, when this movie's firing on all cylinders, everything just comes together, and it just works so damn good. This movie, like I said, it's probably one of my favorite biographical sports movies I've seen in a while. It's up there with me for Moneyball, Ford versus Ferrari, and now this movie. If I had to choose like 3, it's like if there was 3 I wanted to watch, like the ones honestly about the players and everything are just so, they have the same damn formula every time and everything that they kind of get like a bit old. And you could probably say that with these movies too, the ones that focus more on the corporation. But there's just something more entertaining about seeing the behind the scenes stuff. Maybe because like most of that stuff isn't well known compared to the player itself. But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. For me, it's definitely one of my favorites this year. It potentially is going to be in my top 5. I can already see that now. If not, definitely top 10. It is 3.5 out of 4 stars for me.
Tom, send us home on air.
When I say that this is one of my favorite sports movies of the past 10 years, I really do mean it. And I'll even throw it in there with the Creeds and the, just anything involving in that sports genre. This may actually be one of them. And like I said, the most athletic thing is a chubby Matt Damon, a dad bod Matt Damon going around corners. But that's perfectly fine by me because at the heart of it, this is an American sports movie, a classic sports movie that addresses, the economics of the situation. And don't get me wrong, Ben Affleck plays a billionaire, and all billionaires are bastards in my book. But you know what? Everyone here is played so damn well. Both within their lane and occasionally out of their lane. And it's a damn good time that I can't believe that they actually managed to throw in the iconic locker room speech. There was a locker room speech in a boardroom, and it's towards a player that hasn't even played professionally yet. And in that same scene, the emotional high point of the movie for me, that I actually cried during the scene. They attack head on, like the herder Michael Jordan is going to be good. Like they attack it head on because they flash forward to parts of his life.
Yeah.
And they get, I'm kind of spoiling this, but I don't care. You got to experience it to truly believe it. And like stuff like that kind of delivery, that kind of smart writing, that kind of incredible buildup with all the context of a truly, heartfelt sports movie about $1 billion corporation. I'm like, the fact that you can pull that over me is incredibly effective. That is the kind of energy that you see with a sports winning team, with a damn good sports movie, and a 4-star film. My first 4-star film of the year. I am not afraid to say it. This film got me over the top.
Nice. Got a 4-star movie. Got
this
a 4-star movie
sexes,
already.
Man, for John when it comes to sports movies.
I actually forgot about Battle of the Sexes and how much I love that movie. I'm gonna go watch that movie now. Yeah, hell yeah.
I tell you, we get Dom. One of these days, Dom's gonna give a horror movie a 4 stars, and then shit's really gonna hit the fan there. I think that is it, because I haven't given a 4-star review this year yet. I don't believe.
Yeah, no.
You know, I watched, not that I would go back and give it 4 stars. I give it 3.5. I watched Missing with Catherine again this weekend.
Oh, nice.
Holds up extremely well on rewatch. And I will go on to say again, if you've only seen Searching and Missing once, my advice, go back and watch them again, because you'll notice some subtleties. I have wound up appreciating the editing of Missing even more the second time around. The editing in that movie had to be a logistical fucking nightmare, number one. Number two, and I had this because her and I watched Searching a couple of months ago, and she loved both of them. And watching these movies is the same thing. I watched Searching with my mother years ago, and it's awesome to watch it with somebody like when you've seen it and they haven't, because half the fun I got was was Catherine piecing together like the pieces of Missing and Searching, like trying to, at least, you know what I mean? She was pretty dead on accurate with Missing. She actually got Missing. She didn't get Searching, but she got Missing pretty early on, so I was definitely impressed. And she agrees with us that Javier is the MVP. But anyway, had to do a brief diversion there and further plug Missing. I wish it would come to a streaming service already so people would see it. Maybe Max. It needs all the help it can get so it doesn't suck. So I wanted to talk about this mainly because I selfishly didn't get to talk about it a couple of weeks ago when you guys did Super Mario Brothers. But we got some concretion now as far as what this clusterfuck known as Max is going to look like. Max, HBO Max, if you don't know, HBO Max is becoming Max effective May 23rd. We have a date now. I already got that on my calendar now because I'm going to be pissed off. But Max is launching on May 23rd. They have announced the Max subscription plans. The most important detail for this with me was if you already have HBO Max, you don't have to do anything if you want Max when it launches. So if you have an existing HBO Max subscription, either by hook or by crook, as I say, either by that you pay for it a la carte, or you know somebody with a cable subscription like my father and get it that way, you still have it, which that was my primary concern over here, as somebody who's already blown a bag on streaming services over here and has to be like Trump and make great trades for them. So I'm very happy for that, number one. But Max now, the subscription plans, Joe, I don't know if you have the article up and you can show this. But the Max subscription plans tab, this is courtesy of cnet.com. The Max subscription plans, they come in threes. So I already absolutely unequivocally love that they're taking one of the best streaming services and putting fucking ads on it now. I love that. That's wonderful. So you have the ad light tier for $10 a month. You have the ad free tier for $16 a month. And you have the ultimate tier for $20 a month. The differences in these are interesting because the number of screens you can watch at the same time for ad light and ad free is 2. So I take that as my computer and my television. That's how I take that. Ultimate, you get the privilege of 4. So you can maybe have your computer, your tablet, or your computer, your phone, your TV, and your mom's TV. Now here's the interesting part. You got number of offline downloads here. What is this? Is this like downloading the show or movie and then being able to access it like without internet? Like, what is that?
The offline downloads is what you're asking?
Yes.
So yeah,
because apparently it's
airplane
part
mode,
of
right?
HBO.
It's airplane mode.
Is it airplane mode?
It's literally if you were to go on an airplane and you wanted to watch a movie, obviously, you know, you could just basically download it onto your phone. It's saved onto your phone or tablet, and you can play it there. And it stays downloaded on your phone or tablet for like 30 days. And then auto delete, or you delete it yourself.
See, I just noticed that when I read this article today, and I was like, I'm not I think I know what it is. I don't use HBO Max on my phone. Why would I? I don't use any streaming service on my phone. So like I only use it on my computer once in a while on my computer and
Yeah, the
my
guy who goes to a
television.
theater every day of his life.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
no,
not going to be watching on his phone too much.
no, I can't do that. I can watch like I've watched TV on my phone before
It
at
feels
like
like you're not
the
giving the movie a fair chance, you know?
no, like there's a difference between watching like I've been at like car dealerships and watched like talk shows like on the Direct
Yeah,
TV
yeah,
app.
that's
That's
different. That's
one
different.
that's one thing. But like, I can't watch a movie on my
Yeah.
phone.
So
I've
sorry to
never
derail, but yeah.
You're fine. But number of offline downloads, you get 30 with ad free, you get none with ad light, and you get 100 with ultimate. HD is available across all three tiers. Here's the kicker, though, and this is gonna piss some people off. You can't get 4K unless you have the ultimate tier. That's gonna piss a lot of people off right there. That you can't get 4K unless you have the ultimate tier. That sucks. Sucks.
Which really sucks, yeah, because like there are some streaming services out there that like Disney Plus. It's only just 2 tiers. That second tier, it's ad free, and you get your IMAX, their 4K thing that they have on their thing. Hulu, I think, does it as well, and I think Paramount. The only ones that don't do that are Netflix and HBO Max, and everybody hates that Netflix does that. So for Max to follow that same idea is actually surprising.
That's already a bad thing, and here's the problem too. Like, and this is what is really lost with physical media. And 85% of people don't really give a shit. I'm just making up percentages here, but like 85 to 90% of people don't really give a shit. But one of the biggest losses that I think we've had with the death of physical media, or the great like sublimation of or submission rather of physical media, is the fact that we don't have. Am I lagging very bad here? I feel like I'm lagging.
Oh,
like
your images, yeah.
Weird. I'll finish up my thought and then I'll figure this out. But as long as you can hear me. The thing about physical media is that we don't have like the highest quality picture available. It is entirely dependent on your internet. So you might not be getting perfect picture quality, and there's really nothing you can do about that because of the fact that you can't control your internet speeds, or you can only do so much.
All right. Dom, do you have anything you want to jump on real quick? Because I can jump on one thing.
That's fine. It's really just I saw the headline. I think it was a repeated headline from last year. It was like Tesla owner refuses to pay over $21,000 for a new battery, gets locked out of his car. Now that sounds not related at all, and it's kind of not. But I am drawing the line, drawing the connector here, saying that. Yeah, 4K Ultra HD, I don't care about too much. I grew up on 480p YouTube and watching clips of movies there.
Yeah, and not everybody does, so I get that.
Yeah, and that's fine. But you kind of should care a little bit, because this freaking, a little $4 extra here, take some features away here, that shit creeps up on you. And it's like, Chelsea, she's got a Toyota Highlander now, and she loves it so. But the remote start, you got to pay $8 for it every month, which is kind of BS. But
they're
kind
doing
of a necessity.
Monthly subscriptions for fucking remote start now.
Yes, yes, they are.
Are they really?
Companies are, yeah. Mazda,
and there's some mechanics. I won't say who, or if we talk to them about it. Certainly we wouldn't, because we're good paying Americans. But some car mechanics are apparently saying, yeah, we're really trying to figure this out, and once we do, then we'll actually be able to install proper remote start that you can just have forever. But until then,
idea. I have a 12-year-old car. I had no idea that was a thing.
Yeah, I mean, 12-year-old car, that makes sense, because we're just used to it. That's just a feature that we've always had. It's like how it's like, yeah, if libraries were meant today, if libraries were invented today, it would be like this crazy idea. It's like, just check out books for free. What, you just this meeting space for free? What the hell are you talking? The taxpayer money? What are you talking about? And it's like, yeah, this shit that we take for granted, that slowly these companies are just chipping away to make into a service for you. Yeah, that shit is getting real annoying. And I know that sounds very like first world problems and very, it's like, oh, come on, it's for streaming services. You can't pay $4 extra. And yeah, there's certainly an aspect of that. No matter how you slice it and dice it, but man, it's creeping up on everywhere. This is actual literal corporate dystopia. That's the shit of cyberpunk. I know that's an overwrought comparison, but I hope you can see it through this, to whomever we're talking to right now. I hope you can kind of see it through this. It's the small things, and yeah, this $4 extra, I'm gonna gripe about it. I'm actually going to gripe about it. But man, another feather in the cap for pirating. Not that I do that, but another feather in the cap for that.
That's the real winner in all this.
The only other Joe, you know what, Joe, I'm going to pass it to you. I'm going to pass it to you in case I steal your point.
Can I make one more additional point though? Sure. The last thing I wanted to is before my
Steve didn't pay the $4 extra for an image, so now he doesn't get one.
Yeah, exactly. Zoom took away my visual privileges.
Zero K image.
It's so fucking random because usually when I lag, I have like bad internet or something. But you guys can hear me fine.
Yeah.
I think Zaslav heard you, man.
Yeah, I truly do, man. But anyway, the Discovery Plus element of this, I just wanted to mention this, that Discovery Plus is apparently going to remain a standalone streaming service that has like TLC and HGTV and all that stuff on there. There's not going to be any movies from Warner, HBO, DC, or HBO Max on that platform. But there's going to be select titles from Discovery Plus integrated into HBO Max. And like, So why again did we purge? Why again did you purge everything from Charm City Kings to An American Pickle? Why did you purge all these movies all of a sudden inexplicably with no reason? Like, okay, as much as it sucked, I got why you scrapped Scoob-Doo and Batgirl. You saw him as sunk costs. Okay, all right. I don't have to love it, but I understand.
That was a public service.
Yeah, the Batgirl might have been a public service probably both.
Scoob, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, like, wasn't the whole point of this damn thing when it was originally announced to kind of like take Discovery Plus and ham-fist it into HBO Max, and make them one platform? So now it feels like they're half-baked on their own concept here. Anyway, though, Joe, you can take that angle and run with it, or go in a different direction.
Look, man, this weekend was CinemaCon, or this week is CinemaCon in Vegas right now too, and
yes.
Zaslav was on stage last night. And he talked about how, like, the future of this platform is no more direct to, streaming movies for Warner Bros. And it's like, I don't think that was a problem, man. And I really don't think that, in fact, I think that kind of helped sell your thing a bit more. There was advantages to having a direct streaming movie. It's, if a movie you didn't think was going to do good in theaters, like the Batgirl, that probably would have worked better on streaming. A movie like Scoob-Doo that you were like, we don't know how well this will track in theaters, probably put it on streaming, get some streaming numbers up. It's not a bad thing to make a movie that you think like, hey, this could be good, but are people going to go see it is the issue. But if we put it on streaming, would it be a bigger hit on streaming? We've seen that, No one wanted to put Martin Scorsese's 3.5-hour fucking Italian mobster film, The Irishman, in theaters, so he went to Netflix. Why? Because he wanted to keep it 3.5 hours, and frankly, it works better as a 3.5-hour movie on Netflix. So, it sucks to see that, like, I feel like the guy has the wrong idea of streaming services, and it fucking sucks that he has the best streaming service underneath his corporation, and he's doing just stupid stuff with it. The ad-free, ad-light...
That's some Elon shit, man.
Yeah, this 3-tier thing is just dumb, man. Like, why the... I'm gonna be swearing up a storm. Why the hell would I want to pay $4 more to get 2 more screens to watch at the same time, and 100 offline? How much shit am I gonna fucking watch offline, man? Like, 100 downloads?
Even if you travel a lot and are up in the air so much, like, Christ, are you gonna need more than 50?
Look, I need to watch Succession when I get home from work, and then my 5-year-old daughter really wants to watch Harvey Birdman. So we got to pay for the extra screen.
Like, am I gonna? I
guess I'm not taking into
Sopranos?
account kids, but still.
Am I watching all of
Max?
Sopranos like on my fucking flight to like Japan or something, dude? Like, 100 offline down. I went to Miami last summer, dude. I downloaded like 6 episodes of Andor that I had to catch up on, and that's it. That's all I downloaded. It lasted me both plane rides while I was waiting to get on board, while I was in the air, and while I was landing. I watched fucking Diego Luna run away from stormtroopers. And I was
but can you get that gabagool? Can you get that gabagool?
I did get that gabagool. So
Joe was born with that.
yeah, that's in my blood, man. You want some gabagool? I'll
Max.
peel back my skin. It's so stupid. Like it's just like, okay, so that's it. Just 2 more screens and 100 downloads, and we can come up with a whole nother tier for people to pay so they can get their 4K Ultra HD, like, streaming, which was a big deal to a lot of people. Not to me. I could care less about that kind of stuff. For me, I'm very easygoing when it comes to quality of watching something. I love Blu-rays more than DVDs, of course. There's a big difference there, but it's fine. I don't have to get the 4K. That's whatever. I just know from some people out there that are really into this shit, they are really pissed off about it. And I just think it's a stupid excuse when it's like, there are other streaming services out there that I mentioned, and they're just ad-free and ad-light tiers, and that's it. And their ad-free tier has your 100 offline downloads, your available in 4K Ultra HD, IMAX, whatever, and you can watch up to 2, 3, 4 screens, whatever.
Max. They just called it Max. That's a bit that writes itself. They took away the most prominent thing, the name, the most prominent name brand. That's like removing Jordan and just calling it Air, like the sneaker. Jesus Christ!
We just reviewed the movie though.
and that's the thing too. Like nowadays, everything's got to be so damn short and hashtagable. And brief and flat. Like, don't get me started about how like the company logos these days suck so bad. They're all flat. Like every time I go to the grocery store, I'm like, look what they did to the fucking Pringles guy. Have you guys noticed that?
Yeah.
Look what they did to the Pringles guy. The fucker's
He's getting old, man. He doesn't have hair anymore.
Yeah, he don't have hair. They took away his hair. They took away his emotion. He doesn't even have like the glow in his eyes anymore. Like everything is
Mike and Ike, bro.
Yeah, they were. I remember when they were beefing. I'm old enough to remember when they were beefing and they had their names crossed out and shit. But like I hate the name. I hate the concept. I'm relieved in a way that like it's not. At launch, at least, isn't going to be the hub for Naked and Afraid, and that's pretty much it. But I'm still deeply worried. I don't see how this is a good thing. I cannot bring myself to think about how this is good. And I'm still not sure that, like, what happened where this Discovery Plus isn't getting completely and fully integrated. Wasn't the goal to downsize and to migrate with this? Why are you going to keep Discovery Plus now? Are you expecting people to pay for both? Like, that, I don't understand that. I don't.
And this is my thing. It's probably this. Discovery's like, base of watchers are older demographic. They're probably already subscribed to this fucking thing. If they get rid of that, trying to get them all to come to the new streaming service, is this going to be, why would I do that? I have Discovery. Why is it Discovery here? What do you mean? It's it's just going to be too much of a, like, I think the demographic for Discovery just won't do it. They'll just be like, fuck it, I'm not just going to do it. So they thought
the more
it's a miracle that's like that demographic's already tough to understand this in general.
Yeah.
The more I think about it, the more this really is just Elon shit. Because it's like if you're following the Twitter saga, the Elon's reign of that freaking platform, it's just he's just constantly rediscovering why things were the way they were in the first place. Mm-hmm. Which, don't get me wrong, it's good to be a disruptor. It's good to have new ideas, but like he ain't given any of them. And it's like this is